I can be with somebody who is just way, way out of center. And I can bring the love of this conversation into my next conversation and be like, yeah, I can be with this. Like this doesn't move me at all because I am so grounded from the conversation before, or I'm so grounded from the love of my mother who hasn't even been alive for almost 12 years, or my love of plants. I'm surrounded by people have given me plants to love and nurture. And so I have these relationships with these green beings, but also their relationships with their people who are also my people.
Welcome to the Holistic Life Navigation Podcast, where we explore life through the lens of somatics. I'm Luis Mujica, a somatic educator who teaches people how to find safety in themselves. Your turn to learn begins now. I'm with an all-star team today, and I don't even know where to begin. I'm trying to remember. Well, first of all, James-Olivia and Nisha Mody, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. I'm thrilled right now. This is like two of my favorite humans. So
yes, ditto.
I have a lot of favorite humans. It's really like I say it. It's probably watered down at this point, but I just love people, and I love you too.
As you say that, I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to take that personally. I'm not going to take being the favorite human personally. It's a gift you distribute everywhere.
I'm the opposite. I'm like, I'm going to take it very personally. Thank you.
What you do with it is entirely up to you at this point. It just comes out of my mouth.
I'm following Nisha. I'm going to start taking it personally.
Excellent.
Awesome.
I'm trying to remember. I always love the lineage of friendships. I met James-Olivia first, and then did I find you through James-Olivia, Nisha? Was there a connection?
No. Yes and no. You didn't find me through James-Olivia. I wrote a blog post about your episode with Minachi. And then you reached out to me to do a podcast. And then I at some point mentioned how James-Olivia is one of my teachers. So this all kind of came
cool.
together. So, yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I knew there was something there. Yeah. I love it. I love how we stir these pots without even knowing each other. Right? It's so cool. I don't know where to begin. I've been sitting with this for a while, and I think so. Everyone listening, I called these two brilliant bodies and minds to talk about decolonizing manifestation or manifesting, and what that means to both of us. James-Olivia is getting all giddy already, I think where most people know who listen to my podcast, when I talk about colonization, I'm not talking about historical or present events, right? Like I'm talking about the somatic experience of that, which is to dominate or relate. Obviously, those things come from that. But I love going back to the seed of like what grows these events and these collective expressions, you know? And so when I think about manifesting, I think about, okay, manifesting through relating, manifesting through dominating, start getting really interested and curious. And before I spew my desires, I want to hear where you two just go with that idea first about this decolonizing manifesting and where you see it.
How long do we have?
14 hours. 14 hours and 23 minutes.
Because I have so many unpopular opinions and I'm just enamored of them. So
I love unpopular opinions.
Okay, can we start the way that I love to start every conversation with, can we look up that word? I'm not going to look up the word because I'm all about this word, but I like to approach the word manifest from a more literal perspective, not I'm going to manifest my dream partner and my Mercedes and my 6-figure career, but the actual meaning of the word as make apparent. It's so simple, and it is at the same time not magical and mystical at all, and deeply magical and mystical. To take what is there and bring it forth, make it apparent. And so I don't think we can talk about the the colonization of manifestation and the way that that word has been appropriated and misused. I'm going to say this word has been like just terribly abused by the I'm just going to say the spiritual life coaching community. I just made up that term. I don't know what a spiritual life coaching community is. I just threw out a judgmental term because it came to my head. But this idea that like I can think about it hard enough and pray about it hard enough and my Mercedes will appear, versus I am making apparent what already exists, which may be a whole fuck ton of privilege. Like, okay. I'm just making it apparent.
I'm going to do what I do now. Pause. Let's before I go, before the Nisha ingredient into this cauldron we're creating, let's pause on this. Because first of all, I love make apparent, and I'm looking up the word apparent because we know these words, but do we know them, right? And so clearly visible or obvious, right? So to make something clearly visible or obvious, that's so radical to me. In response to what you just said, what's already here? And what's my relationship to what's already here? Right? So I'm just going to pause, like drop that in, and Nisha, drop something in with us, and let's see where this goes.
Yeah. Well, one thing, when you said make apparent, the second time you said that, James-Olivia, I actually thought about back to when Luis just said, like, the dominating versus relating. And because I also heard make a parent, like making.
Oh, yes.
Yes, play on words. Love it. So, and thinking about dominance in that way, you know, and relating in that way too, right? With our lineage, but also, you know, growing up, I'm still healing my relationship with my parents, one of who is no longer alive, right? So I just had to throw that in there. I mean, that could go in so many directions. But another thing that I thought about when thinking about the colonization of it is, one, yes, like the spiritual bypassing that happens that takes us away from where we are in the present moment and how we are embodied right now or not embodied. And also it really made me personally think about meritocracy in like traditional education systems, and that what I'm supposed to be manifesting is like really good grades and going to this college and having a quote unquote successful quote unquote career, you know, and how that comes through the systems of dominance. And the life I'm supposed to have and manifest is being dictated to me, as opposed to me really seeing where I'm at in that moment, or maybe being guided. You know, as children, we need guides, right? So yeah, I'm just, or guides, or like people who can truly reflect back to us and not dominate us. So those are the things that really came to mind, because meritocracy for me, was like something that my worth was based off of growing up, you know, because I was really good in school and that's the only thing I was good at. So this is what my life's going to be. And that is not what happened at all, actually. So, and when I lost that, it's like I had to really be like, well, what is a parent in me? Because if I don't know that, then I'm going to be totally lost.
Oof. Okay, let's pause on that one. So much.
I just heard two words that I want to
do it. Do it.
So I heard a word that you didn't say, Nisha, and that's the conflation of the word manifest as an activity, like the making apparent, with the word earn. Like manifesting a life, manifesting whatever's inside me versus earning things that I'm given in exchange for what I do.
What does that mean to you, to either of you, when you hear James-Olivia say that? What does that mean?
Manifest to me does not imply earning or working. And Nisha's been with me through the 4 skills for relating. And one of the skills is congruence. And the activity of congruence is manifesting one's will, making apparent the thing that's inside me, manifesting myself. I can't earn that. There's nothing to be earned. I'm hungry. There, I just manifested my will.
Okay, this is a beautiful uncoupling, you know, of earning with manifesting, and I just want everyone to feel into that who's listening, including me, because these top things, the top 4 things I hear people want to manifest: relationship, house, career, car. And I'm like, is that all we got? is that all we care about in this lifetime? So when I hear Nisha talking about the meritocracy, I hear you saying, oh, these are inherited values. They're not actually my values. I was born into a world, a family, a culture, whatever it is, that has these values. And I project those into my future, and I call it, I need to manifest those, right? Which essentially is like, I'm desperate for this achieving, this earning, as you're saying, James-Olivia, for a sense of self. It's highly codependent, really, and very disorienting from our current experience. So when you're saying about, I love how you said, make a parent. And then I hear James-Olivia say, manifesting us inside of us. I'm like, oh, making a parent inside of us. Like, who's the new governing force with us, not over us? Where does that go for any of you?
Oh my God, I have so many yummy sounds that are coming from that. It really makes me think about enoughness too, right? Like, I cannot manifest things until I earn them. Like you mentioned, the word I wasn't saying was earn. And I'll remember there was one time, James-Olivia, I had a conversation with you where I talked about when people say like, I deserve this, or the word deserve. And I remember you saying the word deserve implies merit. And I'll never forget that, because I was like, ooh, like, and then tying that to meritocracy and earning, right? Which erases who we are in that moment, so that we actually disconnect from ourselves in the pursuit of something that, maybe money is something that in capitalism, like we need money to survive, right? And need it in excess, trying to compete with other people. I grew up, my parents are South Asian, and I can't tell you how many conversations I had growing up, or I heard growing up in my community, that were about like, either in secret or face to face, about like how other people are doing financially, because, we came here for the quote unquote American dream and all that stuff. And people were trying to survive and thrive. And there was just so much competitiveness too. And it really made me wonder, who are all of these people behind that? Who is the parent inside of them? What have they not actually manifested while they're, thinking they're manifesting all these other things? Like, what else is there? So yeah, so much is coming up for me, I feel like, culturally. And I think that's kind of the mind space and body space I'm in lately.
As you were speaking, so much, James-Olivia once said, when I was interviewing them, like, all the typewriter keys were getting hit at once. That's happening in my brain right now. Yeah. And so 2 things you said, you said something, or I heard you say, who came before them, like who implanted this, or where did this echo from? And then I'm hearing that with your make a parent, and then James-Olivia talking about manifesting inside of, okay, a parent inside of us. And I always, of course, think about the nervous system, and I'm like, well, who came before me? It's my nervous system tells me those things. My nervous system is like, if we're computing our bodies, or putting it through a computer sense, it's like the data of what came before me and how I should or shouldn't trust the life of the world around me. And so I think of my family also who immigrated here. I think of that literal flight response, from one land to another that takes place. And then the adrenalized state of the American dream, which is a fight or flight response as well, of having to dominate for security. There isn't a trust to just solely relate. There's a sense of isolate and dominate, and that will give us a sense of safety. So when I consider that, and I feel that, and I think about the popular term manifesting, it's really like, I'm seeking out and dominating this. I manifested the car. I manifested my kids. I manifested my love. It as if there's no humility, like they had something outside of me and they found me. So I get curious about that being found, instead of going out and dominating them. Then I did it. I'm the manifester. And if you have any ideas that completely oppose what I just said, bring it on. But that's where it took me when you were sharing that.
I'm listening through a lens of skills for relating and relationship. And so I keep coming back to the skill of congruence, which is the skill of manifesting myself, my will. And the theme that I keep hearing as you two talk is this external orientation of this sort of colonial, like, I have to earn, I have to be approved of, like, I am the object, not the subject, and things are being done to me. And my best, most powerful agency is to pray really hard about it versus make decisions based on my will, not necessarily in the absence of relationship with spirit. I hope not. That's my selfish goal. But I manifest being this mysterious thing that has no other decisions attached to it versus if I want to manifest children, there are all kinds of decisions that I make in accordance with my will in order for that to happen, whether that is something that I do biologically with another person or without another person, or if it's something that I do, socially that doesn't involve my own body to produce children. There are all kinds of ways that I could manifest children, but it would require many, many decisions in alignment with my will for that to happen. And also decisions where the results are in alignment with the material world around me and the social and relational world around me. So these things don't happen in a vacuum. It's not something I did to myself for myself, or that was done to me without any agency on my part other than hoping really hard. It's relationship. It's all manifestation is relationship, and all relationship requires the manifestation of oneself. Otherwise, who's relating?
Yeah. So often when we've talked about congruence in the containers I've been in with James-Olivia, it's like, I really think of, and manifesting our will, it also makes me think of like, what is actually embodiment, like embodied within me. And maybe that's something I don't like. And that's why I'm going to manifest that stuff externally, right? In that colonial way. So I can keep layering stuff on top of me instead of like taking it off, like uncovering versus covering myself, and which is almost like hiding even more, right? So I feel like that's what's really coming up for me, because whenever I really do manifest or consider my congruence, there is just so much honesty that I love and scares me. And that to me is what takes me to really beautiful places, especially when I actually say it out loud and say it to another person, because then it's real, So I feel like that is the most beautiful way of manifesting, because it's honest. It's really what is within my vessel right now.
Yeah. See, that lights me up because I hear two things there. I love the awareness, and this is what I've discovered in myself. When I'm manifesting in the traditional way of looking outward towards some future idea or merit, let's say, it's dissociative. It's like a reflex to not feel these things in me that are really actually manifesting and are present and are beckoning for my relationship with them. When I change, my what is that? Those long like scopes you look through. Not telescope. Is it a telescope? It's like another name. That kind like in the old
spyglass.
Let's call it a spyglass. I've never used that word in my life till now. So I pull out my spyglass and I turn it inward. That's where what you're both saying, that's where it collides for me. Because when I'm relating to these parts inside of myself and these landscapes inside of me, in my experience, the natural result of that self-relating is more capacity, which means these other beings that I would want to quote manifest, as they come into my life, there's this space to actually withstand their presence. Instead of I'm just looking out to manifest, I end up getting this thing I've always wanted, or this person or this experience. but I have no relationship to self, to how I even maintain this thing that's external.
I knew it. I knew if we didn't hit record right away, there would be something relevant and important. And Nisha, you were talking about your grief around your father. Mm-hmm. And when you said, there are things that maybe I don't manifest from myself. And I'm going to put a pin in what I'm saying because, ADD masterpiece has to come forward. The skill of manifesting one's congruence isn't just the awareness of it, like, oh, I know what I have inside me. It's the making apparent part. It's not, oh, I'm going to hold space for myself to have it. I'm going to hold this thing. It's, I already have this thing and I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to make it apparent to somebody else in front of me. That's how I relate to you. That's how I make myself available to be known and open up space so that I can also know you, so that I'm not just holding on to a bunch of my own shit and hiding it. But like, here, I want to show you what I've got. You can know me too, and I can know myself differently, because now this isn't just living inside me. I'm manifesting it, manifesting myself, what I have, into the world. I'm changing the shape of the world. That's part of how manifesting works, right? Is I'm changing the way things exist in the world by my own presence. Hi, kitty. By my own presence and by making myself available to be known. And Nisha, when you said, there are these things that we hide out of fear, imagine any person in any marginalized position, and it's all contextual, right? So we can, be privileged in one context, marginalized in another, and having anger and manifesting that anger. It might be dangerous to manifest what we have. Imagine being in a social setting where everyone's like, oh, we're all supposed to be celebrating a thing, or we're all supposed to be having this spiritual experience, or we're all supposed to be productive. And I'm going to manifest my grief because I've got a boatload of it right now. I hurt. My heart aches. This is what I have inside me. I'm going to make myself available to be known. It doesn't go over very well sometimes. And so manifestation can be very dangerous, in part because it's powerful and disruptive and real.
Wait, as you're saying that, I'm just seeing images of Rosa Parks.
Yes. Manifesting her will.
And Camille and Marika and I have been riffing on rupture a lot lately, about how rupture is like necessary to life. It's not against or better or where, it's part of our resilience and blossoming of beautiful things. So what you're saying about that manifesting your will, this place inside of you, and that could create ruptures, even from those ruptures, the amazing change that creates, even in one life that gets devastated, the millions of lives that change from that, even that one devastation. I mean, we've seen that in our own lifetimes. Mm-hmm. That's powerful, because that takes me to that. I was saying to Nisha before we hit record as well, about that inverted mountain, when you were sharing about your grief. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I see these steps into ourself. And then when I know that part of myself and I manifest it to you or the next person, things beyond my control take form. This birth happens everywhere that I have nothing to do with after it leaves my body. What I have to do with is the manifesting of myself part. Is that what we're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Where are you with that? Where? Okay, so I'm talking about what you're talking about. Nisha, what are you talking about?
I mean, I think we're all in the same shape somewhere. Like, actually, that's one thing I've been thinking a lot about lately is shape shifting, and how when I think of shape shifting, I'm literally thinking of how it starts from a shape, and that is the present moment. And that is your congruence. And that shifting won't happen unless you are available to be known. And when you voice it, when you make yourself available to be known, that's when the shapes are more like pliable or can be more fluid in that way. But if we don't make ourselves known, I think that rigidity can happen, and patterns also repeat, because the same patterns will probably happen in the same shape. I mean, I'm just making up this metaphor, but that sounds cool to me. So, yeah, the idea of shape shifting versus another term that I probably use, but I hear a lot in like the spiritual coaching community is also like transformation. And yes, I think transformation is beautiful, but I like really thinking of it as like lots of different shifts once you start not only increasing your awareness, but sharing your awareness and making yourself known so that that shifting can happen. And to me, that truly is like the power of manifesting from the presence, from the now, from the congruence, from manifesting your will.
I love how you, I don't know if you equate or relate what word you would use, shape with present moment. Really juicy there. And when I think of shape shifting, and it's like, well, where did this start? It starts with my present shape. I mean, that's such a gorgeous way to sit with it. I can feel that in my system, and in these really seemingly mundane transformations of my breath just got deeper, transformation. Like my shape just changed. How does that change the shapes around me? I mean, that's a profound way to think about that.
Yeah, I want to add one thing that just came to my mind when you said that was I used to be a speech therapist. I remember seeing all the different shapes in the vocal cords and the vibrations of the vocal cords and everything that changes. I loved like articulation. Like I love, just seeing how different sounds like the T and D sound are the same, except your vocal folds vibrate. It's the same placement of your tongue on the ridge of behind your teeth. But that's the shape shifting is that one thing. And that one change, so the shape shifting that literally happens in your body, in your vessel. And it's actually really made me so much. I mean, all of this has made me so much more aware of my body, even some physical pain I have. I notice so much tightness in my body. And then I can think about that and be like, okay, if there's tightness, what would it look like if I just relaxed my shoulders? What would it look like if I, like moved my hips around? What would it look like to add breath there? Like to me, that is shape shifting in action. That is manifesting from what is happening now. And I actually do try to share it with people because I'm like, I'm really tight in my like right hip and this is what I'm doing. And that once again reminds me to do it, in these quiet moments when I am alone and maybe cannot make myself known like to others.
I just have to put my pin there for a minute. I know James-Olivia looks like you want to jump in. I just have to put this pin in because that piece about the somatic transformation of, oh, my hips hurt. I'm going to put some breath there. I'm going to shift the way I'm sitting. I just wanted everyone to hear that again because self-inquiry and self-relating can be really intellectual and can get us into like a confused state with words and constructs and ideas. Yet this somatic way of self-relating, which is as simple as I feel pain, breath, go to pain, so simple. I just wanted everyone to hear how simple it can be. It doesn't have to be this high sensational ego death experience. It can be as simple as I'm breathing into the pain in my hips. How does that change me as a person? I mean, that's to me real alchemy, like truly. So I just think it's so. I'm a Virgo. Who knows if that's real or not? I use it. And, I see like my gift as a Virgo is I love the mundane. I think it's so juicy and there's so much nuance in it. And I've never been interested in like the big flashy things. They overwhelm me. So when you said the breath, and even mundane might not be the right word. It's the word I love though. I just love how like applicable that is. You need to know nothing about somatics or inquiry or any spiritual teaching if you just know, oh, there's pain in my hip and I can breathe there. I just love it. I love the simplicity of it.
Me too. And I'm a Virgo too. I don't know if you know that. I thought I'd just throw that in there.
Oh, shit.
I thought I'd throw that in there.
James-Olivia, you Capricorn?
What are you? Virgo rising.
Oh, I don't know how little Capricorn there could possibly be in my chart.
Have I just offended you?
So many people close to me, like my dad, lovers, best friends, so many people close to me are Capricorns. And I'm like, this is very interesting. We don't all like each other very much. Amazing.
So you're a Capricorn chaser, but you're not a Capricorn yourself.
I think I run, actually. I don't think I chase anymore. No, I'm a Cancer with Virgo rising. So I do love a tidy container, but I'm going to cry about it. So
just such a great way to describe that whole placement.
Yeah, love that.
When it looked like I wanted to jump in earlier, I don't think I actually had anything. When Nisha, you were talking about the T and the D sounds, I was just sitting here going, like my tongue was doing these things in my mouth, and I'm like, I wonder if anybody can see me making shapes with my mouth.
I saw you.
Like,
I saw you over there.
It's hard not to. You're just like, wait, what? Is that what happens? Yeah, it's pretty cool.
How amazing.
When you were saying that too, there was this man I had on my podcast a while ago when I first started. His name is Tapiwa Guzia, and he has this really cool ice cream company in Africa, and he teaches people about Zimbabwean indigenous herbs and foods by blending it into ice cream. So people go into his ice cream shop for like, I want vanilla ice cream, like tourists and things. And he's like, we don't have vanilla, but we have. And then he teaches them the history of this. And we were talking about this fruit that grows in his village that he's from, and it's called tsuvu. And the English name for it, the British name when they colonized the area, was snotty fingerberry. And we
try that.
Delicious.
And we were playing with the sounds in our bodies. We were like, okay, tsuvu. And I would like feel it. I was like, snotty fingerberry. And it was like they both had these different spells they put over my body. And so when you were talking about the vibrations, I was thinking the vibrational, even like the naming of things, if the thing gives you its name based on its characteristics, or you giving it its name, I mean, it changes everything we feel and how we relate to that plant. It just took me there. So I love that you brought that speech piece in.
Coming back to manifesting and making something apparent, naming things is one of the most concrete, well, it's not concrete because it's just words, they're ethereal, but one of the most daily practical ways we have of manifesting all the time. Like, I'm going to name this thing, I'm going to make it apparent and share with you through language, through speech, what is here. And so I think that's part of what, in decolonizing manifestation, one of the hilarious things about, manifesting the Mercedes or manifesting the relationship or whatever is, I'm going to name the thing I want, but I'm not going to name the process or name all the things that support me in getting what I want. And so manifesting privilege, making it apparent, one of the ways we do that is name it. Like, oh, look at this. I have so much support. I have so much inherited wealth that I can, purchase a home for my family, or I have, this appearance that allows me to go through the world and not be treated in certain ways. Like, just to name those things is to manifest them. And some people don't. Most of us, I'm going to say, actually, I don't know. Who am I speaking for? I don't know. I'll just speak for myself. There are perhaps a lot of things I don't want to manifest. I don't want to make them apparent, because if I'm very attached to being good or having earned or having pulled myself up by my bootstraps or like being favored by the gods or whatever it is that I want to believe about myself, perhaps I don't want to manifest the historical realities that allowed me to have what I have, or have prevented other people from not having what they need.
See, I could even see that through a lens that connects everybody, because I'm hearing this, my favorite poems from Maya Angelou. It's called The Mask. I play it a lot in my course. I haven't done it actually for 2 cohorts. I don't know why. I need to start playing it again. But one thing she says is she says she's known for saying it, you've already been paid for. And so she talks about different ancestry, different lineage, different places we blossom from, had different cultural contexts, like you're speaking to, like different privileges of how you're seen, what people overcouple about you, biases, these kind of celebrations, different things, right? Depending on cultural expression for your skin or face or class, whatever it is. And what she says is she kind of she connects it to every lineage. She goes, if you're here, someone before you paid to bring your body here. Can you connect to even the privilege that your ancestors lived long enough to bear you? And I just think that's profound. And I wonder as I say that, where does that go for you?
Into my skin. I have chills.
I did too when I first heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have chills. So this past weekend I was in Toronto for a wedding, for Rukyung's wedding, Nisha, for the reception. And Luis, I'm trying to introduce you and Rukyung because I think you would have hilarious conversations. But so Rukyung's family is Korean, Philip's family is Chinese, and the day after the reception, we all went to dim sum. The families went to dim sum. And I think I'm one of Rukyung's oldest peer friends. So Ben and I got to sit at the table with the parents. Like normally I'd probably be at the kids' table, but we're old now. And so we got to sit with the parents, which was amazing. And at one point, Philip's mom was asking Ben and me, subject verb agreement, asking if this was our first time having dim sum. And I was like, oh no, I'm Chinese. Like I grew up doing this. And to manifest that and watch her face change and light up. And there was just this moment of, I'm so tickled to manifest my experience, to make apparent who I am, because you can't see it on my face. And I can name this thing and it changes the way that there's a different kind of intimacy. Like there's already the intimacy of sharing food. There's already the intimacy of being at these families joining together. And now there's the intimacy of like, I know your food and you know my food. I know some of your words. Like we have grown up probably fighting each other, like fighting our own cousins for the fish eyeballs and like weird shit like that it's like, yeah, we share this, and there's a different kind of intimacy. I think anytime you manifest who you are, what you have, what your desires are, what you care about, what you know, to make yourself available to be known, that can be beautifully connecting, or subject you to the possibility of being rejected, which is where the fear part comes in. And I think that the skill, the act of manifesting oneself versus manifesting an outcome or an achievement, is so intimate and so relational that it's radical and earth-shaking.
I adore that. Right, like, in the queer, I'm trying not to say queer community anymore.
Because there isn't one.
Because there isn't one. Yes, there's exactly. I don't like the idea of like, speaking for a whole group of people with these phrases. Growing up as a queer person, there is a word, like passing privilege, right? If you're trans, there's different passing privilege. If you're gay but you appear straight, like all these things. If you are, white passing, or a friend of mine calls it white assuming, there's a passing privilege. There's all these things, right, where you're like secret. You're like under the surface, there's the secret that no one could tell. And when I had gotten top surgery, it was way before I had any kind of career or anything here. I went into this more public work without that being part of my story originally. Like I thought I could cut that part off of my body and I would never have to manifest it again, like gone. And I noticed that and it was so powerful. And I noticed, wow, okay, I'm passing, no one would ever think I was born with an intersex expression, that I had breasts, or I experienced misogyny, like things you just would never think if you see a guy with a beard. You wouldn't think that. And what was so powerful is the moment I did my podcast, the very first episode is like a 28-minute episode of me in my office by myself, just talking about having breasts and like my story, which I never thought I was going to do. And the amount of lives that changed from hearing that, and people's like all the different demographics of people that came out of the woodwork to come to my course and work with me and learn with me, because now there was like this deeper resonance. I'm just hearing it as you say that, like that was me manifesting this part of myself that I never ever had capacity or thought I would do. And it is continuing to shapeshift, to go back to your word, Nisha. It lit from a shapeshifting experience too, which is, you know, all very interesting. So I'm just lit up from this right now.
Yeah, so much of this, like, especially you mentioning James-Olivia meeting Phil's parents and being like, you know, I am Chinese. It just made me realize how co-regulation supports manifestation, as opposed to this colonized version of manifestation. It's like, I'm going to do this all by myself. It's going to happen. I'm going to say these things 3 times, or I don't know. I've watched lots of weird TikTok videos about this stuff that I'm just like, huh?
We should do a reaction video to TikTok.
Can't we? Lots of emotions, well, probably a lot of confusion, a lot of laughter, that we actually need each other in order to really manifest what's in us. So I think is so beautiful. And it also, what both of you have just said made me think about process versus product. You know, like realizing like the process of your top surgery, for example, like having the capacity to manifest that was more important than, not more important, but like that was supportive for you, as opposed to just what the product was or not talking about it. So in even thinking about like the product of like the car, it's like, well, like James-Olivia was saying, was like, well, where am I now internally? And how might that maybe eventually, maybe I'll eventually get a car. But what else is happening now within me, in the process of me, in the process of my uncovering, of getting to know myself, of my congruence? And then if something's like if I think a byproduct of the process, cool. Because I also think some of my favorite things that happen are not things that I thought I wanted in the first place. And that is like the magic there. I think that is the biggest magic. It's not even what I wanted or even thought that I wanted. And I think to try to control that outcome by saying this is what it's going to be, takes away that process, takes away that magic that we have within us, and we're bypassing ourselves.
Got to pin those 2 things you just said. So important. Co-regulation and how important it is. And I wouldn't even say important, how inherent it is with we can't manifest without co-regulation. It doesn't exist. There's a myth that we can be all alone doing it. But the reality is like, no, many bodies, not just human bodies, like the wood spirits that built this cabin I'm in, like many bodies have literally laid down their body so I can sit on them like this chair and do this podcast. Like this is part of my support system. There's a humility to that. I really like can't say that enough. And I love the part of how do I know what I want? Like it's one of my favorite things to do with my mind. How do I know I want? What's the story about this thing I want? That's what I'm chasing. Or the feeling this thing is, I think, is going to give me, that's what I'm chasing. But there's this like humility and actual magic of the mystery. As I manifest, as James-Olivia is teaching me, as I manifest myself, right? As I make a parent in myself, with myself, bring this out, then I'm right where you are, Nisha. I'm like, whatever drops in, like, hey, here's the welcome mat. Let's see what happens. What's my capacity for it? I don't want to pretend I know. I love living that way. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I don't want to pretend I know. I love that. One thing that you like perfectly segged into something that was in my head and like went away. It's also like, who am I to say what is going to happen? Like, how can I be the one when I am not the only like being in this world, in my community, in my partnership, So for me to say that this is what's going to happen, I think completely disconnects us from everyone, everything. I mean, one thing that I lately even, attuned to is like my mom's art in my home. My mom went to art school and is an artist in every way, and didn't maybe pursue it to the degree that she wanted to, but to me, she's an artist. And I look at her art and it makes me feel so inspired and so loved and so loving, and how necessary that is, for me. And so who am I, when my mom showed me all these paintings that she made in art school that she was going to give me, like what that's done for my space in my room, for when I'm with the client and maybe I get a little like shaken and I look at it, and then suddenly I can feel a little more centered or regulated or whatever, and have that feeling of safety. And then what does that manifest, So all of these things that have come together and connected have, in ways that I can't predict. I cannot predict. So in a way, it's like, who am I? Like, I say that with confidence and also with mystery. And I think that's, those two things together is just badass.
You two are lighting me. I'm like, can we just do a parade? Can we just do it just right now? Go to Chicago. Go down the street, just us three, and have a parade.
Oh my God. I want to do a parade.
It's warmer.
Yeah, let's do the summer.
Where are you, Nisha?
I'm in LA, so come here.
Oh, yeah, that works for me. I'm down.
So I have a disagreement with the statement, we can't manifest without co-regulation.
Ooh, bring it on.
Yes,
I love it.
We can manifest all the time. We probably cannot manifest the things that we want that are in alignment with the relationships that we want to create, relationships with our material world, relationships with other living beings, which some would argue are the exact same thing. But like we can't manifest in right relationship, probably. I may go back and revisit this. We can't manifest in right relationship without co-regulation. Maybe that's not true either, but we are always making something apparent. We're always manifesting something. And so I can manifest my trauma all over you if I'm unaware of what I'm up to. I can manifest, I can be completely dysregulated and still have an intention and a decision to remain in right relationship with you and manifest my dysregulation without bleeding it everywhere. I can say, wow, I want to be in this conversation with you. I am dysregulated. I don't have capacity to listen right now. I'm going to manifest what I have, which is my dysregulation and my desire to take some space so that I can come back right in a moment and be with you in the way that I want to be with you. And I have just manifested something and I am not regulated at all.
So I think what I hear which I love, I hear from what Nisha and I were saying, there's a difference between if I could care less about manifesting a car, but let's pretend I wanted to manifest a car. Okay. What I'm saying when I want to manifest a car is for a car to even exist, bodies had to create it. There's already this relationship and interdependence with other people. That's not co-regulation. So I'm wondering, what's the uncoupling we can create here where, okay, co-regulation is one thing, very specific. My safety and your safety are resonating and shifting within each other, co-regulation. Co-dysregulation, I'm manifesting my trauma all over you. Now you're activated, we're co-dysregulated. Super fun.
Good times. Yeah.
Good time. free potluck in 1 hour. And then what's the other word? How would we describe this thing of, is it just simply interdependence? Like what's the word that I'm looking for? It doesn't inherently mean there's a co-regulating experience, but it is a relational experience. There's another being that's part of that experience.
I think when talking about manifestation, I'm thinking about it as an activity without inherent rightness or wrongness in how it's done. It's kind of like talking. I can be talking. I can be talking with you as I am now, you two, and having a wonderful conversation. I can be arguing with somebody about something completely irrelevant and wasting my energy trying to convince them of something that doesn't matter at all to them and probably very little in the world if I win the argument. I don't even know what that means, to win an argument. But in either situation, I'm doing the activity of talking, and manifestation, I think, is just an activity, and we've put so much on it, like it's some elevated thing, which in some ways it is. How wonderful to have this creative power to bring forth a thing that is living only inside me, and now to bring it into the world. That is true, miraculous. And also, it's an activity.
I really need to sit with this. We're gonna have to have a part 2, because when Nisha's talking about sitting in her room and seeing her mom's art and the safety being created in her, and we know that safety biologically is just really about capacity. There's space in me now. Now, when we have space in us, like when I had more space in me, I could manifest that I once had breasts. Like it wasn't as big of a deal before I had that space in me. So to me, there's this co-regulating experience that gives me capacity to even go in and manifest a part of me. I don't think it maybe rests on that 100%, but I think it's a big part of having the like when you said, what do I need to support me and what I'm manifesting earlier? I think it's a big part of the support system. You know, how regulated and co-regulated I am may be how deep I can dive into these self-manifestations and making things apparent to myself from inside myself.
Yeah, I think there's a clarity of the articulation. So if I want to manifest, like, hey, I feel deeply hurt by something that you did or said, this is one way to do that. I just did it. Or I could slash your tires. Both of those things are activities of manifesting my pain.
Absolutely.
I tell you or show you in some equally hurtful, and I can kind of pay that hurt forward. These are both the activity of manifesting, but the clarity and the opportunity to relate with you around it in a way that where there's space for both of us to continue manifesting in ways that are generative and healing, there has to be some sort of safety.
Yeah,
I love that.
I would
agree.
What are you
hearing, Nisha?
Yeah, I would agree, because I was thinking that to answer your question from before, like, what is that thing? Maybe it's just relationship, which can be my relationship to myself right now, where I can say, like, I feel deeply hurt, or my relationship to myself was like, I'm going to go grab my knife, like, and how I'm relating to that person as a result, like all of that, yeah, for sure. Cause like you can make things apparent in so many ways, like James-Olivia said, like we're saying, and the quality of that, the experience of that, and how healing, I mean, I'm just repeating what you just said, how healing and generative it is, can really inform then, okay, maybe now what's going to happen next, right? So yeah, I feel like I need to sit with this too, because I think one thing I was thinking before was that oftentimes I think manifestation is, the word is used in this like quote unquote positive way, only get good things.
Yes.
But you can get anything, like,
anything.
It could be anything, So I think we need to uncouple that manifestation is only about, positive things or wealth or whatever, I think that uncoupling has to happen first and foremost to decolonize, to take away that. The uncoupling is the decolonizing, in my opinion.
I agree. Let's feel that for a minute. Do you two have 10 more minutes?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Let's feel, then I have to stop for real. I just want to feel no, I love this, and you're right. The word relationship, that's what that hits, that resonates for me. That's what it is. Because it's like everything is a relationship to me. If I slap you, that's one way I'm relating to you. If I hug you, that's one way I'm relating to you. Just like we're saying, manifestation isn't a good or bad thing necessarily. It's like anything and everything. Relationship is everything and everything for me. And so when I hear relationship, that's the word I wanted to be with earlier. You can't, I don't believe you can manifest without relationship. Because if I don't have self relationship, I don't even know what I'm manifesting. There isn't even a self to relate to and manifest from. And so relationship to me is what's so contingent on anything I get in my life. You know, again, like I always think of the microphone manufacturer. Like this is a long distance relationship. You know, I never met this person. Like my lips are like 3 inches from this thing they created. It's like my spit is all over it. It's like so intimate. So that's where I go when I'm talking about this relationship piece and how life is so hinged on the relationships. The qualities are what I'm hearing us talk about, how that emerges in like an activated, dysregulated, or regulated way. But relationship, I'm going to sit with that because that feels nice in me. What are you feeling, James-Olivia?
Talking about relationship, Nisha, one of the things that you were saying, well, you didn't ask this question, but the question that I was hearing, like, am I safe in this relationship to manifest in a way that is generative and and aligned? So often we think about relationship as just what's immediately in front of us. Like, here I am relating to the two of you right now. Am I safe with the two of you? And that is such a limited understanding of what actually supports me and who and what I'm in relationship with at all times. So you're, Louise, talking about this relationship with this microphone manufacturer. Like, people put these things together. People designed the robots that put these things together. There are people in all of these systems, and the ecosystem that I inhabit. Or Nisha, you're talking about your mom's art, and you can be sitting with a client where you might be activated, and yet you have this relationship with the art around you and your mother who created the art around you and the community that holds you in safety when you may be co-dysregulating with the one person who's in front of you or the crowd that you're sitting in. And there are so many relationships that are influencing us all the time and holding us or challenging us. And so there have been times when I can be in a room with Ben, who is hands down one of the most regulating presences in my life, maybe other than some of my plants. And he's way more exciting than a plant. Most of the time.
Don't say that in front of them.
I mean, Ellie's over there being very, very but they're actually very exciting beings. But his presence can be so regulating and so calming and soothing for me and so safe. And I can be carrying 3 years of pandemic and a positive COVID test. And that one really, like, I might be manifesting all kinds of anxiety and fear in the presence of someone who right in front of me very often calms me. And I might be carrying just something so big that it's impacting what typically would be in the room gets pushed out by whatever I'm bringing. And the other way around. I can be with somebody who is just way, way out of center, and I can bring the love of this conversation into my next conversation and be like, yeah, I can be with this. Like, this doesn't move me at all because I am so grounded from the conversation before, or I'm so grounded from the love of my mother, who hasn't even been alive for almost 12 years, or my love of plants. I'm surrounded by people have given me plants to love and nurture. And so I have these relationships with these green beings, but also their relationships with their people who are also my people.
See, I hear you saying attuning to what am I relating to in this moment, because there are endless relationships in this moment. There's the residue of love of my mother in me that's still alive that I can nourish or kind of forget is there, and then find it again and nourish it. There are the plants behind me. There's the COVID test over here. There's that thought that came into my head. There's Ben right in front of me. It's like we're always relating to something. And I find it's why I love the somatic practices so much. My body shows me through constriction what I'm relating to. Because if I'm looking at you two, who I obviously adore and on paper feel safe with, yet there's like a constriction in my chest, that is my signal that says, "Ooh, what's the chest relating to?" It's not James-Olivia, that's for sure. It's not Nisha Mody, that's for sure. What is it? Oh, it's relating to that bill over there that I can't afford. I forgot I looked at it before I got on the call. And so it's like this really, for me, like a multidimensional, and this is where the animistic piece comes in for me, of all these bodies I relate to without realizing. And thank the goddess I have sensation, because it shows me, it wakes me up to actually what am I relating to in this moment? Other than thinking I should feel safe because I'm looking at you. You can be the safest person in the world. If I'm not relating to that safety in you with me, there's going to be no felt sense of that. It's taking me somewhere else.
All I feel right now in my body, and it might not even make sense, but after hearing both of you, is that I feel like the universe is in me. Like, I'm just like, it's all like all of the relationships, like even relationships that I don't know. I kind of wonder about that, that are not known. I wonder how that manifests, yeah. That's just like, I just feel so like full, in not a positive way, just in a real, like, that's what's really happening. Like, this is what's really happening. This whole time I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope my cats don't like open my door, even though I know you'll both love my cats. I know they're so perfect, but I'm still just like thinking about that relationship, my relationship with them, right? Yeah. Or I'm like, in the back of my head is this random conversation I had with my neighbor in the morning, like, how is all of that influencing how I came and sat here and started talking to both of you, today? And then what is that? Like, this is a microcosm of how this is happening everywhere all the time. So, yeah, I just think it's awesome.
Have you two seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I just saw it 2 weeks ago.
I need to see it.
What the fuck, right? Like, it's like a documentary of my soul. It's how I felt when I saw it.
All right, okay. I need to watch. I
just have to throw this out there that anybody who's watching, listening, if you haven't seen the music video for Turn Down for What, same director.
Okay, I'm writing this down.
Yeah, we had this conversation. Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Just to watch that video and go, okay. And then about 10 years later, this director made Everything Everywhere All at Once. Makes so much sense. And also, what the fuck, as you said, like
it was a true documentary to me. I saw it with my wife, and then I saw it with my friend 2 separate times. No, I didn't see it with my wife. That's so funny. Talk about relationships. She was so in me while I was watching it, imagining she was seeing it with me. I thought I was seeing it with her.
Wow.
But I saw it with my friend, and we left, and he goes, "That's one of the best sci-fi films I've ever seen." I'm like, sci-fi? That's reality TV. We just saw reality TV with really good cameras. But it's what you just said, is when you said the universe is in me, including the relationships I don't even know yet. That blew my mind. Because what is a relationship? It's like you are the catharsis for a part of me. I mean, that it's so special that, yeah, it already is inside of you. And that feeling that comes up when I look at you, I'm like, oh, Nisha makes me happy. Like, no, that's here. And Nisha like pulls it up in me, but it's not you, it's me that I'm feeling. And a lot of people disagree with me with that, but that's my experience. And I just love the way you said that with that universe. And then it took me right to the film. You laughing about over there.
I love it. The way that you said you were watching it with your wife. I was watching it with my mom, my dead mom. I was like, oh, Mom, you would love this story. You would hate this movie. Let's talk about it. Like, and so much of it was, I was like, oh yeah, that is my lived experience on screen happening right now. Like, I have an everything bagel. But okay, so what you're talking about, relationship, you were like, what is relationship? I'm like, I know the answer.
Please, I want the answer. Give it to me.
In the next 1 minute that we have.
You have 1 minute to answer this existential crisis.
It is literally the way anything is connected with anything else. So Nisha, there are relationships I don't even know about. Like, I'm wearing them. I am like, Luis, you're talking into one. We are connected to everything in ways that we cannot possibly know because we inhabit a world together. We can't possibly not be in relationship. And Luis, what you're talking about, the relationship that I have with anything, anywhere, anyone, anywhere, lives inside me. It's mine. It is my relationship to do with as I please, to attend to as I please, to experience as I please. And your relationship with me is yours, and it's none of my business. It is your relationship with me to attend to as you please, consciously or unconsciously, but it's yours. And so whatever participation I have in it is my own participation, but it's still your relationship.
We have to close on that.
That was perfect. Yeah, love it.
Don't need drugs. Don't have you two.
I want both.
you want
and a parade.
And a parade. You can have both, my love. Okay. Does anyone want to say anything about anywhere anyone can find you? Besides everything everywhere. Where
everything everywhere all at once.
Scattered upon every bagel in the world.
People can find me on Instagram at Healing Hype Girl, and my website is nishaland.com.
Oh,
James-Olivia.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm like, who doesn't want to go to Nishaland? Come on.
I'm in Nishaland right now. It is nice.
I feel like I live in Nishaland. Nisha grew up in Chicago. Now I just moved to Chicago. So
yeah,
you
are.
Wow, you are. You are.
Okay, I am inquisitivehuman.com on the interwebs, and then Instagram, it's at inquisitive_human.
Thank you both. Just thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So fun. And this is a real ending. I'm not going to do the fake out and then we talk about how much we love each other when I turn off the recording. Like, it's over when I hit end because I have to leave. Okay.
Then I'll just say how much I love you both right now, and then okay, bye.
Yes, okay, I love you both so much. All. Okay.
Wow. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
That's the end of today's episode. Now let's take a moment to notice where we feel the episode in our bodies. Close your eyes. Take a breath. And let whatever wants to come up, come up. And remember, those sensations hold the wisdom that we're looking for. If you want to go deeper, visit holisticlifenavigation.com.